Alright, Keith Lee it is. Hey guys, Metal Driver here bringing you another WWE Elite review. Today I'll be looking at Series 82, Keith Lee. Looking at the sides of the box, you see an image of Keith Lee on both sides. The back of the box features an image of Keith Lee, a brief bio, career highlights, a description of this figure, and the rest of the figures that are in this wave. Bio includes from Wichita Falls, Texas, weight 320 pounds, and a height of 6 feet 2 inches. Career highlights include NXT Champion and NXT North American Champion. The description states, Keith Lee is not just a game changer, he's more than an anomaly. The Limitless One can do the impossible inside the ring. One can't help but bask in his glory. Alright, now that we have looked at the box, let's go ahead and open this figure up and take a closer look at Keith Lee. Alright, and here is Keith Lee out of the packaging. But before we take a look at the figure, let's go ahead and look at the accessories that he comes with. Alright, so the accessories that he comes with are 2 interchangeable gripping hands, and then his entrance sleeveless hoodie. Then taking a closer look at the hoodie, as I mentioned it is sleeveless, so it doesn't hinder any articulation there. In fact, he can crunch just a bit with this plastic on. So normally I'm not a fan of plastic attire, but I think this one's pretty good. Let's get this image of Keith Lee in this blue and silver color. So the colors came out pretty well. The paint apps is pretty good on the image. I don't see any major sloppiness, so it looks really good. Then looking at the back, it says bask in my glory. So the lettering came out really well. There is some slight mispaint here on the B and on the K, but it is very minor, not a big deal. It is sculpted really nicely. You can see the hoodie here. She looks pretty good. So overall, a good piece of accessory. As I said, it is plastic, but it does not hinder too much of the articulation. And then there are pegs right here, so you can take it off from the front. Now I will say it was a little bit trickier to put on, but it's really easy to take this off. Then taking a closer look at the head sculpt. Now this is sculpted really well. It does capture the likeness of Keith Lee. The paint came out really well on the lips and on his beard. His eyes look really good, so do the eyebrows. So really good job that Mattel did on the sculpt work. Although the paint here on his line, on the beard, this should go all the way up. So I'm not sure why they decided to stop it right there. So that's a bit annoying and inaccurate. And plus, who would have a beard like that where it would just stop right there? So it doesn't make sense to me. The hair looks pretty good though. Painted pretty well. Then he even has these wrinkles on his head. So it's kind of a nice touch. It's got that head fat there. So good job Mattel on the accuracy. Well, except for this part here. Alright, then looking at the body, he's got this nice, thick body. I do think it matches his body pretty well. Now, this is his NXT attire, so he doesn't have his tank top here that he currently wears on the main roster. Personally, I prefer this look, but I'm sure eventually down the line we will get an updated Keith Lee figure with a current design with the tank top. Now, this is pretty interesting. Mattel decided to go with a painted elbow pad here. Normally we get plastic elbow pads. However, I don't think this was a bad idea. I think this works out pretty well. Does not hinder articulation, obviously, because it's painted. Although we do get plastic elbow pads that don't hinder too much articulation either. However, considering this is supposed to be a really large one, I think Mattel did a smart job on painting that instead. He does have painted wrist tape here, and on the right hand as well. And then on his right hand he has his thumbs up hand, which is really good. Sculpted really well so he can do his signature pose. So that's really nice. Then looking at the trunks, they are black, and they have his designs of his silhouette here in silver and blue. This is painted really well. It doesn't go all the way onto the hip here, so that's a little annoying, so you can see this break when you extend the leg down. However, if you move it up at this angle, it doesn't look as noticeable. Then here on the left side it has Bask in My Glory. Paint is decent for the most part. There are some spots of sloppy paint and mispaint right here. A little bit on this S right here. So not the biggest deal in the world. And then on his butt he's got Keith Lee. Now these letters came out really well. Nice clean line work, good paint, no sloppiness there. And looking down at the rest of the lower body, he's got his knee pads. No extra paint, just black knee pads. Then he's got black boots, no additional paint there. Although, it seems like his ankles on mine are a bit weak and loose. We'll get to that once we go to the articulation, but other than that, pretty solid looking figure. Really happy with how this looks so far. Right, then going over the articulation. So the head is on a ball joint, which allows it to go not too high up. It goes slightly down. He can turn his head side to side, and it can tilt and pivot. Shoulder has a hinge which allows it to go that high up. You rotate all the way around. There is a bicep swivel, single jointed elbows, swivel and hinge at the wrist. He has an ab crunch, which allows him to go that far forward, which is really good. That far back, so good range of motion on the torso. He has a waist swivel, ball joints at the hips, which allow the legs to go that far out, which is really good. It can go that high up. There's a thigh cut, double jointed knees. He's got a cut at the top of the boot. His ankle is a bit loose on both ankles. Does go that high up, that far down, and he has some pretty good ankle pivot. Alright, so what are my thoughts on Elite 82 Keith Lee? I think this is a pretty good figure. I think it was executed pretty well. There aren't really a whole lot of issues, just some minor things on mine, but that's probably, again, just my figure. I do like the accessories that he comes with. The plastic sleeveless hoodie is pretty good accessory, and I think if you're a Keith Lee fan, this is definitely a figure you're going to want to pick up. So overall, a really solid figure. So if you like this review, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe so you can see more WWE Elite reviews. Follow me on social medias and keep up to date with all my wrestling figure photography. And I'll see you next time.